Do we expect the rise in interest rates to change the sudden demand for real estate? My answer, no. Everybody keeps thinking that the market's about to turn simply because the rates went up 1 or 2%. But in relation to people's income and affordability for a home, although homes are relatively on the highest they have ever been, collectively people earn more money due to inflation and rise in wages, particularly in the metro cities. So, do I expect changes or a downturn? Not yet. Not quite so fast. Ultimately, housing is a limited resource with a limited supply. Therefore, so long as there are more people looking for a home, there will always be a high price to pay for it. While some people may be turned off at the sight of having to pay a little more for a house, you have to counter that with how much more are you paying in rent to keep living in the same area. So for example, if you currently have rent of $2,000, but face the risk that within the next 24 to 48 months you might pay $2,250 or even $2,500, by buying a home in relation to how much you expect to pay rent, it might still be a better deal and you might be better off, because although your initial cost to acquire the property might be high, over the long run you will build equity and will have a safe and stable place to live in. The supply and demand for housing will always be controlled by people willing to move away or cashing out a second home that they have. Some people are relocating and simply need to leave the area. Others have a home that is too big and want to move down to a smaller. Others have a home that's too small and want to upgrade to a bigger one. And then in other situations, people simply pass away and leave a home empty. Therefore, the heirs or estate will put it on the market for somebody else to put it to use. Economics always controls what happens to housing. So long as people have the ability to afford a home, homes will remain expensive. On the other end, if people cannot afford a home, prices will drop in relation to what the most people are willing to pay. Sometimes people say, how much is a home worth? The appraisal dictates that. The truth is, a home is only worth as much as somebody else is willing to pay for it, regardless of opinion of value. An appraisal is opinion of value. Somebody coming in and saying, in my opinion, the home is worth this much. They may be accurate, they may be off, and ultimately we only use it as a guide. Life changes every day. Each year that goes by, we have people growing up who become 18, independent, fully employed. And what's the next step? Finding a place to live on their own. Every year, people get married, and one of the goals of moving on in life is finding a place of their own. Regardless of whether you are married, you may have just had children who, not today, because they can probably live with you as a baby in a crib, but sometime in the near future, those kids will grow up and you'll probably want to find a space for them as well. There are plenty of reasons that things keep changing that make the need for housing increase. Each year, millions of people graduate college and move on to find employment, and then the next step is to also find independent housing from wherever they live currently. This, of course, does not convey the message for every possible city, for every possible state, or for every possible county, but they are simply general terms to evaluate and to decide whether investing in the next city that you're looking in might be worth it. If the community looks like the population is going down, then you might have an opportunity for a deal. On the other end, on places where it's spiking and prices are hefty, you might rethink whether it's a good choice or not. Not necessarily thinking of today, but thinking long-term into the future. That's one wise thing to consider when making a decision of whether to buy or sell property that you already have.